Senegal is a dynamic country whose political landscape has seen the winds of change that have brought with them a revitalized feeling of hope and determination. Following the election of a new administration, Senegal's leaders have pledged to work tirelessly to promote stability and development in the nation. Senegal's new leaders are trying to create a secure and affluent country as they set off on a path driven by creativity, inclusivity, and the desire for a better future. In today's video, we will be looking at a major remark the Senegalese Prime Minister, Ousmane Sonko, has made concerning France. We will also be giving you some hints on the blockage of a popular passage used by thousands of Senegalese migrants to enter the US via flights. But before we continue, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the new tourist channel so you get updates on important things happening in Senegal and Africa as a whole. In a comprehensive speech on Thursday last week, Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko touched on several topics, including the euro-backed CFA franc, oil and gas transactions, and LGBTQ rights. He even mentioned the potential of closing French military posts in the West African nation. Sonko came to prominence in March after his hand-picked presidential candidate, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, won a resounding victory. Sonko is well known for criticizing what he saw as French imperialism in its former colony. According to him, Senegal's sovereignty is incompatible with the French bases. France has around 350 troops in the country. It retains significant influence in Senegal as the former colonial power there, and that is a relationship Sonko has questioned for years, long before he became Prime Minister. Paris must be nervous because they have witnessed similar events in the neighborhood in the past. Senegal is situated in West Africa, close to the Sahelan countries of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which have all been affected by coups. They were all formerly French colonies, much like Senegal. They also housed French troops and bases, but after the coups, the military commanders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger drove out the French. Sonko said in his speech that many countries had promised defense agreements, but it did not justify the fact that foreign garrisons now occupied a third of the Dakar region. After driving out French forces, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger looked to Russia for assistance in quelling Islamist insurgencies on their own. Additionally, they broke away from the ECOWAS, a West African bloc that denounced their coups and established their own alliance of Sahel states. However, Sonko spoke kindly to them on Thursday. "We will not let go of our brothers in the Sahel, and we will do everything necessary to strengthen the ties," he said. He also stated that to enhance export competitiveness and absorb shocks, Senegal, which shares the euro-pegged CFA franc currency with 7 other nations, would prefer a flexible currency pegged to at least 2 currencies. One representation of French colonization is the CFA franc. When we say the CFA franc is pegged to the euro, it means it is at risk from the economic shocks that take place in Europe. Sonko now wishes to diversify this risk because nearly no African nation can afford to incur local currency debt. Thus, this must end. Africans bear the effects of this and need a flexible currency. They also want a flexible currency, pegged to at least 2 currencies, to help cushion exogenous shocks and support their export competitiveness. Note that Faye had originally promised to do away with the CFA franc during the election campaign, but he later changed his mind. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the man leading Burkina Faso since the September 2022 coup, also suggested in an interview in February that his country might soon abandon the CFA franc as part of an effort to break all ties that kept them in slavery. Sonko reiterated promises to renegotiate oil and gas contracts in Senegal, where production is due to begin this year. Bear in mind that in April, Senegal's newly appointed Minister of Mines and Energy declared that the government would renegotiate mining, oil, and gas contracts, should a promised audit be completed. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye announced the audit after his inauguration on April 2, assuring investors they were still welcome in the West African country. One of the more radical campaign pledges that Faye's new coalition government is willing to carry out is the renegotiation of such contracts with multinational companies operating in Senegal. Faye's predecessor, Macky Sall, had a more investor-friendly approach, but his ambitious plan to focus on infrastructure failed to lower Senegal's rising cost of living or create enough jobs. This is where the strategy differs. Bassirou Diomaye Faye has been encouraged by business analysts and politicians not to renegotiate contracts related to mining and oil. Speaking through his Energy and Mines Minister Birame Souleye Diapan on April 11, Faye stated that following the completion of the anticipated audit, the government would renegotiate contracts related to mining, oil, and gas if needed. The possible effects on investments and upcoming collaborations are the source of the worry. Certain experts say that the renegotiation may discourage investors because of unpredictability and possible modifications to the contract provisions. This might have an impact on Senegal's mining and oil industry's growth. Senegal's former president, Macky Sall, told a news agency that this decision to renegotiate mining contracts could come with consequences. Frankly, thinking that we can change the contracts already signed with the companies is not possible. That would be a disastrous turn for Senegal, Sall said. It is worth noting that the implications of these negotiations could have significant effects on the oil and gas industry in Senegal and the country's plans to become an oil producer. The government wants to make sure that the contracts are in the best interests of the nation. However, the specifics of how the contracts will be restructured have not been disclosed. This may result in modifications to the contract's terms and conditions, revenue sharing, and other provisions. Sonko also urged Western nations to approach social issues on LGBTQ rights and gender equality with restraint, respect, reciprocity, and tolerance. He claimed that although homosexuality had always existed in Senegal, it had always been managed by the nation in accordance with its socio-cultural circumstances, and that this would continue. Note that Senegal specifically outlaws same-sex sexual acts and, in the past, has prosecuted men accused of homosexuality. There is a penalty of up to 5 years imprisonment and a fine. Maximum penalty applies if committed with a person under 21. It has been illegal since 1966. We can see why Sonko does not want this. Even though Sonko isn't president, his words have authority. He is a well-known politician from Senegal and beyond who is known for his firebrand views. Being President Faye's mentor, he has a definite anti-imperialist outlook that could influence Senegal's foreign policy. As all this is going on in Senegal, you should also know that a popular passage used by thousands of Senegalese migrants to enter the U.S. via flights to Nicaragua and a land route through Mexico has become practically impossible. Travel agencies are not allowed to sell airline tickets from Dakar to Nicaragua, according to local authorities. Airports in Casablanca and Madrid, which were key transit hubs for the route, imposed transit visas on Senegalese passport holders earlier this year. The campaign follows 20,231 arrests of Senegalese migrants by U.S. police for unauthorized border crossings between July and December. That's 10 times more arrests than what U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported for the final half of 2022. All this coincides with Donald Trump's pledge to impose restrictions on legal immigration and crack down on illegal immigration should he win a second 4-year term in office in November. Concurrently, Joe Biden, his rival in the U.S. general election, is considering a more expansive executive order to tighten regulations on border crossings, which might be issued later this year. However, young men in Dakar are laboring to make money in case a route opens up to the U.S. We can see that Senegalese are going through a lot, just as their neighboring countries too are. While President Faye is struggling to make the country safe for its citizens, some are instead looking for means to leave. African youths should stop running away from their homes and start working on solutions to the African problems. They should also create sustainable business solutions from these solutions. African youths need to know that the future of the world is Africa. Education and extensive research are important to realize these goals, and African leaders must support these youths in achieving these goals. An increasing sense of sovereignty and self-determination is reflected in the questions the new vice president of Senegal has raised about the French military's presence in his nation. This audacious move denotes a change in the balance of power and emphasizes Senegal's will to establish its independence and pave its own course for advancement and development. The new president is addressing the matter of national sovereignty and showcasing his dedication to forging a more equal and balanced alliance with France by contesting the French military's involvement in Senegal. This action promotes more equal links between the two countries, by creating avenues for discussion and negotiation. There is a chance that Senegal and France will have a more respectful, mutually beneficial relationship, even though the questioning of the French military could cause diplomatic tensions and uncertainty. It's a chance to rewrite the rules of engagement and usher in a new era of collaboration founded on respect for national sovereignty and common interests. However, what's your take on this? Do you think Senegal will ask for a withdrawal of the French military troops in the future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the new Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.